Welcome back to the Coach's Corner podcast. It is Brian. We got Coach Moe and we got Coach Joel. On today's episode, we are going to talk about behavioral management, managing players' behavior on and off the court so that you can have some success. So if you're a coach or a parent who is coaching a team, this could give you some tips to deal with some behaviors that you see on the bench that could limit kids' success. So we'll throw it to the intro and then we're going to get right back to y'all. Peace. Welcome back, y'all. It is Brian, Coach Mo, and Coach Joel. Um, Again, we're going to talk about behavioral management because it's not just having a team that can go out and beat everybody. There's a level of other stuff that coaches do in managing personalities, managing player behavior that allows for a successful team. So we'll talk about some potentially distracting behaviors, and maybe Coach Mo and Coach Joel can give some situations or examples of some distracting behaviors and just talk about and give some ideas on how we deal with it. All right. Behaviors. Is it safe to say that you guys have experienced problematic behaviors with players that you've had on and off the court?
No, that never happens. it's perfect. Nothing ever happens. Like let's do this all the time, and everything is good. Everything goes smooth every single game.
All right. Well, that's all we got. We'll talk.
No, John. Yeah, we've experienced it. Joel, you've been the guest. I'll let you talk about your experience with seeing it on and off the court, on practices. You have, Joel, you've had a lot of years into coaching, girls and boys, and we've recently seen things, even since you've been with me. And I guess I'll let you go first. What have you seen?
So yeah, I mean, yeah, we've seen a lot of behaviors. I mean, on the court, just kids giving up on their own teammates, saying I can't make anything, I can't do anything, I'm not helping the team. Kids getting upset about not running the play right, whatever it may be. And then they're on the bench, they don't want to be by their team. They're just done. They're deflated. They're done. This is it for their basketball career, is what they're thinking at that moment. Which, I mean, in the heat of those moments, it just really it's kind of bringing it all together and just having a kind of a quick talk and taking a deep breath and letting them know that, we're in this together. Whether we win or lose, it's going to be a team loss. It's not just because you didn't make one layup or you didn't make that pass as sharp as you need it to be. It's a team loss. I mean, this is a team sport, and everybody knows that, and that's kind of where we have to go from.
All right. So speaking of that, how do you know where it's kind of crossing over to a point where, okay, it's going to require a little bit more than just talking during the game, like where it's going to be some things that you're going to have to address after the game or bring parents in? How do you know it's gotten to that point where you need to bring the parents in and have an honest conversation?
You want me to take it there?
Okay, sure. I was following up on that.
You can, no, say Joel knows that.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see it in the kids sometimes when you pull them aside and they kind of give you that look, or they don't want to look at you and they're mad at you because you pulled them out of the game. You can just kind of see the behaviors kind of build one on each other during the game. Like they maybe make a turnover, they're like, okay, they kind of get back on defense, but now they make another turnover, they missed a layup, and you kind of see them throwing up the arms or, kind of hear not cussing, but yelling underneath their breath, I can't do anything right. And that's just after the game when we have a team talk, after the team talk is done, kind of pulling them and their parents aside and say, listen, how you act on the court doesn't show your team that you want to be a part of this. It shows them that you gave up and that you're not willing to, put in extra effort. And so that next week in practice, we just made it a little bit harder on them and work on those things with them, do more layup lines, do more free throw lines, do more boxing out, more rebounding type drills. The things that they excel in the game, we want to make an extra point of it to address those needs in practice so we're ready to go for our next game.
Okay. So, I'm hearing including the parents in on that. And one of the conversations I've had with other people, because I do a lot of talking to other folks, is encouraging people to communicate with the coaches. If the child is having behaviors at school and things like that, keep the coach in the loop so that coach can help out with some stuff. I know Coach Moe in the early days of academy, you remember this, where we sat a kid down and made him do his homework through the first part of academy because he is messing up at school. And so those kind of things, allowing the coach to kind of be in on the discipline as opposed to just yanking the kid out of basketball and essentially hurting the team, but also not really showing this kid the power of committing to a team. So, for parents that are listening, we encourage you to include the coaches in these conversations, especially if they're having, behavioral problems outside of just basketball, because you never know what backgrounds coaches have, where they may be able to talk to somebody or mitigate somebody or even pop up at a school to check in. You never know what tools they have in their bag. So, Coach Moe, for you, when does it cross the line in terms of a kid's behavior to the point where you're like, I don't know if I can have this kid on my team?
Wow. And so it typically you start seeing that pattern. Like, and I know we do a good job, and Bryce been with me for a long time. Work in this business. Typically, you start seeing a pattern, and so you start giving those warnings out. You start, addressing it in practice. You start addressing it in games. Maybe they don't start a game, kind of things there. I think when it starts getting to that point where you've tried to address it in practice, you try to address it in game, but limiting time. I don't believe. I know coaches get all upset when they say, let's just keep the kid off the team. Well, I don't believe immediately doing that. There's always underlying things. We all were raised different and brought up different, and we also don't know what kind of nightmares some of these kids might be going home to. I mean, we just don't know. We just know that when we have them in that moment, we're trying to teach them the best possible, basketball players and young men and women we can. We don't know what happens at home, so we give them second chances. I think it comes to a point when the team feels unsafe or the other players feel unsafe, the constant cussing, the throwing of a chair, when it becomes a safety thing where, and then there's a guardian, we know that things are, that's not the parent, it might be the grandparent that takes them, the neighbor, whoever's the guardian that is constantly dealing with this kid. If you have a sit-down meeting and they don't seem really interested in correcting those, or I've had it over the years, 22 years to hear everything. I've had it where somebody's told me, well, you're not their dad, and you're not, they don't have to listen to you like that. You just need to be quiet and teach them how to do layups. Well, I said, well, here, you see that door you came in right there. I want you to go right back through it, but take your bag and don't come back, right? That's not going to happen. And so I think when you don't have support from the people that are bringing the kid, you've tried those, on every avenue. It's a distraction to the team. The team doesn't feel like that, that kid can really, be a productive kid on the team. Not playing wise all the time, but every part of it. But that doesn't mean you got to score and those kind of things. Being on the bench and being a good teammate, they can't do that. I think that's where you're starting to look at that, the end goal. Maybe this isn't the right fit, and maybe this kid needs a little bit more than we can provide.
All right. Coach Joel, do you have anything to add to that one?
No, the one thing I would say is just that, I've seen it even through my daughter. I've coached her for years, and I see it now. She plays for, Bellevue East High School. And, this is a team that doesn't have the best record, and they have kids giving up on the court, but she's still trying to be that positive person on the court and off the court for her team. She's still trying to fight for rebounds, still trying to take shots, make good passes, play defense, even though they're losing by, 30 or 40 points. So never give up on your team. These are CMA is like family. It's like your brothers out there. So fight for them to the very end.
All right. So here's what I want to do, because I'm interested in this thread, and I do want to put it from the perspective of, let's say I'm a rookie coach, and I'm going to give a couple of different scenarios, but we'll go through one scenario at a time. And what I want you guys to do is tell me what to do. Okay. So I'm coming to you as a rookie coach. All right. And whoever wants to go first can go first on it. But okay, guys, I'm a rookie coach. I'm at my wit's end. I got this kid, she's the star of the team. She does everything on the court, but she picks on, she's a bully. She picks on everybody else on that team. And her teammates are hating her. And now we have kids that are threatening to quit the team, and parents that are constantly calling me because they don't feel like their kid is being protected. What do I do? She's our star player. She does everything. So what do I do?
Hey, Joel.
You want me to take it?
Oh yeah, you
So,
got it.
I mean, thanks. So I've had a similar situation coaching through the YMCA like this. Actually, last season, I had a girl that was, she was just the fastest. She did a dribble. She got to shoot the star player, like you just mentioned. And I had another parent call me and tell me that she was making fun of her, this other child on my team and calling her names and just kind of picking on her. And this other kid was kind of frustrated and upset. So I kind of just went ahead and went back to the parent of the star player and kind of had them had the parents actually talk amongst themselves outside of my contact. And they were kind of able to help resolve some of those issues. And when I saw them practice personally, I would address it. And I would, sit on the bench a little bit longer, kind of as a repercussion for you to act like this, not being a team player for your family. You're going to sit. You're going to sit. You're going to have to watch. And you're going to have to support them. I want you to cheer them on through this game while you're sitting here on the bench.
All right. Okay. So basically wrapping the parents into this and enforcing some consequences on that kid, even though they're the star player, it's, you may be making some sacrifices in terms of a win or a loss, but at the end of the day, it's kind of it's a moot point because you're teaching a lesson that this kid can learn, they can internalize and take with them forever.
Yeah. And I mean, me and Bo have seen it through the 5th and 6th grade team. We've had a couple kids that, they're even going to be able to make it through an entire game this season. And they've increased to now where they're like, get mad at us because we're taking them off the court because they have made it through the entire game. And like, it's a 9-day flip. I mean, we work with them. We don't give up on these kids.
All right. Coach Moe, same question. Kid is on my team. He is my best player by far. There's no comparison, but he's picking on all the other kids to the point where it's a safety threat because either there's going to be a fight, these other kids are going to jump him or something. What do I do? I don't know how to handle this.
What you do, same thing I said earlier, there's a door and you come in, and I'm scared. So so it's those steps, man. Like I say, it's the steps. You take the right steps to kind of, you address it as much as you can see it. And Brian, we had this situation with our CMA team about 3-4 years ago. We had a really good player, and man, the kid was in there tripping people, and pushing people down. And I would be working with another group, and then I had a kid come over and say he's cussing and those kind of things. And well, we addressed it. I addressed it right then and there, and the kid, listened to me. I usually don't have any issues when that happens. But I went home and told the parent. The parent came up and went off on me. And to me, I laughed at that because I've been in this game so long. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. I don't spend time at night crying, about parents, like I do. The kid said, and I asked, I said, did you talk to the coach that was over there first? Because we have a rule, and I think every coach should put this in. Get out of your feelings for about 24 hours. Get out of your feelings. Listen to what the kid says, but your first call should probably be to the coach if you weren't there. You weren't there, and then see what happened. And particularly this mom did. And so my other thing is I had them exit the team because the behaviors weren't going to change because right in front of the kid, the mom didn't hold the kid accountable. And so if the kid can't be accountable, he doesn't care if he's scoring 30, 40 points. We go back, yeah, it's cliche, but it's a team game, right? So the thing is, you have to win as a team. So, yeah, you might have scored 20 points, but the team beat us by 30, 40 because you weren't doing what you're supposed to do. No one trusted to pass the ball back to you. No one trusted your leadership, and everybody lost because of what you do outside of basketball, what you do on the sidelines. And I think that's probably the biggest thing parents got to realize, that I'm sitting here by your kid. Coach Joel is sitting, Coach Randall is sitting, Brian, you've been in the game. You sit here and we hear the negative stuff this star player saying, and that doesn't make anybody want to play with that kid.
Right.
And what will happen is we try to address it, and I've seen it years and years of coaching, and they'll team hop, and they'll go to the next team, and they'll hold them accountable, and they still do like that, and then that coach is done with them, and then the next team, and the next team. And guess what happens? You're a senior in high school, and you're sitting on the bench, or you're a senior in high school, and you're not playing basketball or football, or baseball, or soccer, whatever, because no one wants to be around you because you're detrimental to a team. And that's not, and that's pretty sad because that's something that can be dealt with early on.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is, it's kind of the theme that no player is bigger than the team. And so if a player is hurting the team and they're not stopping hurting the team, that's where you guys are looking at, okay, is this the best fit for, is this the best thing to have this kid continue to be on this team, even though they're scoring a lot or whatnot, is this the best fit moving forward? And sometimes making that decision to kind of separate, right?
Yep.
If it's not the best fit for the team, if the team is suffering under, we don't allow the team to suffer just because of one player. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I got a couple other questions, but we're going to take a quick pause for the calls here. I'll throw a break in here, and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back, and we're back with more questions. This section is, and if you're just tuning in, this is for coaches and parents, who may be coaching teams about how to deal with some cognitive behavioral issues that we've, managing kids and running teams and stuff like that. And so now we're going to get into some stickier topics, but hopefully, it helps you guys out there who are listening to this address things on your team so that you can step on these behaviors before they pop up. So again, I'm a coach. I'm a rookie. Coach Moe. Bro, I got this kid. Mom and dad aren't together and they don't really get along that well. But when the kid's with dad, he is a completely different kid than when he's with mom. When he's with mom, he's handling business and respectful, but when he's with dad when he's on the weeks when he's with dad, it's a completely different type of kid, different kind of temperament, to the point where it's really hurting the team. What do I do?
What you do is same thing. Get rid of it. We don't need it. I'm scared. No. So it goes back. It goes back to having that you respect. Like you said, they respect us in practice. They respect the coaches. And it happens, man. Like when we were all in school, you had that one teacher you really liked. Like I think Miss Dodge is my favorite teacher in fourth grade. I liked her. At high school, I like certain teachers, other teachers, and kind of like whatever. They'll trip over their own feet. Not get hurt real bad, just trip over. But but I still had to be respectful because I knew it was gonna be, and they're gonna call somebody. Well, now we're in a time, and it always has been this way. But now with social media, a lot of stuff is really highlighted. And so we get that. There's a lot of homes that are, from the single parent homes. And I applaud the moms, I applaud the dads. They're trying to make this happen. But what happens in the coaching world is the communication is not always there. And I know that's rough. And I don't, I've been married to my wife going on 17 years and been on her more than half my life, and we hope that never happens. But we've already, we've discussed that over the years. Like, hey, no matter what, we got to make sure we get the kids in the game. If that ever happens, make sure they, So we had a conversation, and I would hope more parents do that. But if you had this kid, and let's say this is not happening, you do your best to get the behavior as straight as you can, regardless of either parent's there. So, like, to make sure they're doing their doing practice, do what they're doing on the bench in the game, and so we establish solid to the kid. Now, if we start noticing, and we have it in CMA, we have it. Every organization has it. Mom comes, like you said, Brian, dad comes is different. In those situations, what I've done before is I've had a parent meeting individually where I might tell, the parent that the kid seems to be responding a little bit better to. Hey, I really appreciate it. And then this is where my background, working at Boy Scout, working with juveniles, and I might ask, like, hey, what do you do to prepare for practice? I start researching like, he eats before practice, he does his homework before practice, we never take a nap after school, like, oh, maybe it's, okay, that makes sense, and then I'll talk to the other parent because, if they're not together, they probably don't want to sit there and hold hands and talk, and so I'll talk to the other parent and kind of see what the routine is, like, what is your routine? I'm just happy to get him. Everything's good. We haven't had a funny bunch of candy before here. He may or may not sleep. We don't really talk about much or short practice. So what I'm looking at, the routines are different. And so I'm getting, one where routine seems to be a little bit more calm, preparing this kid for a 7:30, 7 o'clock p.m. practice, and another one might be, I'm just happy that you're here. And that's fine because, those are tough situations. But in that case, this is where I'd help that parent. I'm like, hey, when it does come, not throwing you under the bus or anything like that too, I think the kid really likes to do his homework beforehand. I really like that the kid doesn't benefit from having a bunch of candy 10 minutes for practice, like, so we're just kind of ease that into. If it gets a little more of a strain, I've had it where I've had to actually sit down with both parents together and kind of come up. And what I said is, in general, guys, this is really affecting the kid overall. So we need to be all on the same page. So it's kind of, finding what works with the parent that's working with, or the grandparent, or the aunt, uncle, the neighbor that's working with. And then once that's kind of shaky, find out their routine. And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10, it doesn't match. And it's trying to just kind of finding that medium so we can be successful on the court and in practice and everything as smooth as possible. We know it's not going to be perfect, but being as smooth as possible.
All right. All right. Coach Joel, any pearls you want to put in there?
Yeah, no, I mean, Mo hit a lot of it. That was really good. I would just say even too, inviting the parents to practice, just to kind of see like
Yes.
the difference.
Yes.
Dad's house, this is what he looks like at practice. He's kind of sluggish. He's not really going for the ball. He's very lazy, hustler. He just did last one down the court, whatever it may be. And when he's at Bob's house, he's a lot more active. He's a lot better shooter. He looks like he's trying to rebound. He's box out. He's doing all these things we're asking of him. So, and then having the parent just kind of see that for their own self really helps and kind of visualize and put it in perspective what we've been telling them.
All right. All right. Can I throw one in here? From decades of managing kids in like group homes and things along those lines, and dealing with, this kid is a headache, is a nightmare when he goes with dad. He's perfect when he comes back from visiting with mom. Consistency. As long as you're the consistent piece of it, that kid knows what they're expecting. They know what how they're expected to act when they're around you. I think having that consistency in practice and consistent expectations when they come in, I kind of see that as something that could really help the situation. So even though they may be out there with dad or mom, and when they come back, their behaviors are all over the place. If the practice is a consistent expectation, that kid will adjust to those consistent expectations. That sound all right?
Definitely. Yes. Be that constant. Don't be that. Don't egg them on. Don't egg them on. You said don't have, everything's confusing at dad's house and mom's house, and then it's confusing at practice. And
right,
you shit. Gotta have something. And sometimes these kids, and right, you and Joe both know, in our backgrounds, we are that rock sometimes for that kid. We are that. Okay, so we can't break that. Man, there's many times. We got personal stuff going on. We all do, but for that hour and a half of practice, for that hour of game, just taking a deep breath and just being constant. Yep, I understand. Yep, you're right. School's off this week. Cool. Let's talk about that homework. We'll get it together. Hey, game tomorrow. Let's focus on, doing your job, and we'll get back to it. And that kid doesn't need to hear that. Doesn't need to join that conversation. Just needs to hear that we got their back.
all right. I appreciate that. So I got another one. Coach Joel, man. So here's the thing. This kid is my best player again, and my best behaved player. I never have any issues with this kid on the court. He encourages his teammates. Let's say he or she encourages his teammates. They handle business. They do everything I ask them to do without question, and they go above and beyond. They'll stay after. They're the first ones here, last ones to leave. Just your model player. but they just got suspended from school for fighting. And now the county attorney's kind of sniffing around because this is not the first time that they've assaulted somebody. And it's starting to get really bad because this kid's getting caught up in some other stuff. They come in and I can smell, I don't think they're smoking, but I can smell it on them. I can smell the weed on their clothes. So whoever they're rolling with is involved in some stuff. How do I address this? Because this is my best kid. I'm scared that I might lose them, not just because they're the best player, but just because I don't want them to stray off the path and ruin their life. What do I do?
Shoot, I mean, if they're the best player on the team, they're like a model says at practice, we're good. I mean, we're good. No, I mean, I think it just goes back to communication. I mean, communication with the parents, communication with Mo, Randall, whoever it may be, and just kind of keep us in the loop and let us know, like, if he's acting like this outside of, practices and the games, and he's, on the verge of possibly going to jail again, that, I mean, we may have to just sit him, or he may not play this weekend because he's acting up. So, finding maybe another outlet for him. I mean, what is it that he likes about basketball so much that he's willing to act so well about? Do we need to find another outlet or another source for him to find something to, to harness or hold in with anger and aggression?
Okay. All right. And I think giving a target to that is a big thing. Also, I know specifically, now I'm shifting back and kind of talking to the parents. Talk to your coach. You never know what resources they have available. Maybe it is a transportation issue. He's got a ride with his kid his cousin ain't about nothing, and so he's kind of going down that path. Let's remove that block and maybe schedule a parent that can go pick him up from the house.
Yeah, and I know that's something that me and Bo talk about all the time. And Randall, that we will pick up any of these kids. We just want them at practice. They can't get better. They can't expect to be playing every weekend if they're not to all these practices. They're not scheme agility. They're not doing the things that we're asking.
Right. In my old life, I was known for popping up at a kid's school just to kind of check in on them. And so, parents, this is where we kind of, if you're having some massive behavioral issues, include the coach in on this conversation. Like I said, Coach Mo has coordinated some stuff. I know Coach Joel has coordinated some stuff to address some of the other behaviors. But if it's getting to a point where, and Coach Mo, you can speak to this better than I can. If it's getting to a point where, yeah, basketball is the outlet for this kid, but they're a terror everywhere else. What do we do? What's the conversation you have with the kid and the guardians?
You start, this is when you start having that real life conversation. A lot of kids we deal with are teenagers. So you start having that real life conversation where you start preparing them. And I've had this conversation with my son. He's 14, freshman. I started having this conversation when he was younger. It's like, there's going to be life after sports. There's going to be life after basketball. And people, you need to, you're going to have to go do something after high school. Let it be college, let it be work, let it be a trade school. It doesn't matter. And people got to be able to trust you. People got to be able to, sit down and think that you're gonna be okay. They can leave you alone to run a cash register. They can leave you alone to check in, patients as a nurse. They can leave, that you're gonna be able to have to do this. And if you're fighting, you're doing things that are, borderline criminal right now, doing things that can really hurt you as an adult, it's not going to get any better if you don't address it now. And so I had those conversations with the kids, like one day you're going to be, a young adult, women and men that are taking care of everybody in the country. You're going to be, providing something that helps people out. And if you can't get it straight now, you get something on your record, you get something there, it can happen. And I speak this from, and Brian can tell you, two kids that did not grow up, with rich, with a bunch of money or, with a pool in the backyard, those kind of things. We didn't. And we also grew up in neighborhoods where you had, you can have a side where it's, everybody's playing ball, everybody's, playing sports, doing good. Or you can also walk right down a couple blocks and you can, jump into a gang and jump into those kind of things there. It's just putting it in their head, like, hey, there's a choice you can make. By coming to basketball, you're going to get a chance to get on the floor, get away from all that stuff like too, and just be straight. But doing the stuff you're doing is going to put you on a path where you're going to get something on your record, you're going to get something that's going to hurt you for your future. So I always have the conversation. The kids right here, I'm like, how old will you be 10 years from now? And they're like, 25. I'm like, you're an adult. Do you want to be 25 in jail? 25, something on your record? 25, no one can trust you? Or do you want 25 where, hey, you know what? I remember that conversation and now I'm good. Let alone if they're in the NBA, playing overseas, or being a doctor, they're going to make the right choices. And so I have those conversations. And I think the thing that hurts me the most, a little longer, this is we talk to the parents about this a lot too. And I've had actual parents that are just so caught up in the moment of getting their kid ranked or getting their kid playing time, getting their kid exposure, that have taken the kid from us. And that, for me, I know Joel talked about it, Randall, it hurts us because we care so much as dads first, to know that a parent would be so upset that we want the kid to be a good human being as well as a good player, that you would sacrifice them staying with people that will address those and go to somewhere else. Because I've looked on the news and seen kids that's done that I've had, and they're in prison, and they are, they're on the news for the wrong thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen to all the kids, but just because, I don't know what the saying is, but millionaires, if you are a person that isn't good with money and you get $10 million, you're going to be bad with $10 million just as you were with 10, So just because you leave a problem, the problem's going to follow you until it's addressed, and we want to make sure, I know we talking about it is, can we address this? Basketball is one thing, but can we address that? We want you to come back alive each practice. We want you to come back
right,
not suspended. We want you to come back, to not have a detention and you're late to our practice because you had a detention, and to not run off friends and potential people that can, speak for you for a job, speak for you for a college, a scholarship. Don't run people off with their behaviors, and that, and we really are big on that.
So this in there, a lot of these jailhouses and prison yards across the country have basketball hoops.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's the reality. You can be a phenomenal hooper and still be in jail for your behaviors. I mean, that's the harsh reality of everything. Coming to basketball practice and being an all-star player is great, but being a piss poor citizen outside of it, that can really get you in trouble. So I want to start wrapping this up because I want to get some keen insights for coaches that are just starting out. Coach Joel, I'm a brand new coach. Give me one or two pieces of advice that I can use to kind of establish the temperament for the team, kind of establish the rules and expectations for the team. What's one thing that I can do to help establish that out the gate so I can not have any issues?
Yeah, something that I found that helps is communication. Keep communication over with parents, with the kids. Have a parent meeting with the kids there present. Just kind of lay down, on the first practice. Hey, this is what's expected. This is what I'm looking for. If this is not met, then your kid may not play this weekend, or he or she may not play as much as they thought they were going to play. So communication. I mean, I can't stress it enough, but communication is key.
Okay. Communication is key. Thank you, Coach Joel. Coach Moe, let me switch over here. I'm a rookie coach, just starting out. What's one piece of advice? Because Joel touched on the communication piece. What's one piece of advice you can give me for spotting trouble before it happens on your team with the kids?
Set expectations before you even jump into this world. And I'll call people out. I mean, not everybody's built to coach. People may not agree with a call. If people agree, and it happened to me and Joel last week, a kid might be upset. No, this coach said this, and they're like, no, you just weren't playing defense. You just weren't. You weren't doing what you were doing on the court, and we can deal with court stuff. But as you're a new coach, you got to set your expectations, and you almost got to be. You got to be pretty strict right off. And I'm not saying strict where you're Bobby Knight, you're throwing chairs and those kind of things there. That coach is ridiculous. I get mad on you want, and if you're a Bobby Knight fan, that's great. Okay, that was ridiculous. That too. But coaching youth, a third grader, a fifth grader, 18, learn again, just establish your roots. Have your things. I knew these are the 10 things I'm going to talk to you. Call me, you got a problem, 24 hours. Don't text me right when a problem's happening. Don't pull your kid off the court. Put those in. If that would bother you for the sideline as a parent, put it in there. And then put that out when parents sign up for your program or if you're volunteering coach with that. And then you have it. And then you don't run into those extra issues. So establishing what your level of things you're going to tolerate.
All right. I got one more I want to add on there. And this comes from the group home world and managing kids. When you're first starting out and you're stepping in and you're working with kids and, there are going to be certain thresholds and certain cutoffs, but it's almost better to be a little bit over strict where your expectations are rock solid. And you really toe that line as the kids are getting to know you. And then as they get to know you, you kind of relax things a little bit, than to come in and be super permissive and then get strict after the kids start running over you. It's better to establish yourself as the authority out the gate and then dial it back a little bit than to do it the other way around. Would you guys agree with that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen it too many times where they're nice, the kid throws them under the bus, and now everybody all must suffer. All the kids have to toe the line and they're super harsh. And then that ends up damaging the relationships with these kids because they started knowing you as a nice person and all of a sudden you became the mean person, as opposed to coming in and being the person that doesn't play around. And once the kids get to know you, then they're like, oh, such and such is cool. They just got their expectations. They're tough and they won't play with you. So I would say that to start out, if you're coming into a situation, specifically when you're dealing with kids and their parents, because if their parents know that you're strict and you don't play around too, you'll get a lot less funny business as you move forward. And as they get to know you, you can ease up a little bit.
Yeah, and you can still be yourself. As wrap it up, you can still be yourself and do that. Like Joel has a different coaching style. I have a different one. Randall has a different one. A lot of the high school coaches have a different one. We're all different people. But yeah, you can still, like your brand said, you can still be yourself. And I think a lot of coaches don't know that. Like it's like, well, I don't yell a lot, and the coach under respect, like, no one's asking you to yell. What Brian just said is just be consistent and be straight and be to the top and like, this is what's gonna do. You can smile, tell him that. He can smile. You can be, I'm more of a comedian, I think, the comedian stuff as a kid, but I also don't have kids, flicking me off or cussing me out and, oh, you different, coach. I didn't in my 22 years ever heard anybody. You changed up on me, coach. You were like this. No, I've always been pretty nice, been pretty friendly, but I also said, you're late to practice and you didn't show up, so you're not starting. Like, but what do you mean by this? You smiled and said it. Yep, and I was consistent. I smiled and I said the rules, and I'm gonna smile while you sit beside me on the bench and be ready to get in because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So you don't have to lose who you are. You can still establish these rules.
Right. So I think that's where we're gonna leave it, y'all. Anything else you guys want to add to this before we?
Joel, I think people should probably and I like to build up people, but I also want to make sure that people understand why they're here. Me and Brian, you hear the podcast, me and Brian been with college buddies, been through a lot. We did radio together, this is my wedding, best man, that's the best man, so we know each other, we know each other. Joel, in the same day I throw in the Randall, it's like, we appreciate who you are, what you bring to CMA, and what I like about what Joel brings is what we talked about today, the behavior management. I'm a fiery dude. You can get into I'm a fiery coach too, but I'm fired for the right reason. I'm trying to, get the refs to see that they're not calling you there, we're paying you, wake up, make sure the kids are getting hurt out there. And you need that other person to talk to the kids when I pull them out. Sometimes it's like, hey, listen, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Hey, Coach Moe is right. You are walking down the court. One thing Randall has started doing, and Joel did start doing last week, was recording the games and actually showing those kids so that's a reference that Joel could talk about. Hey, you remember last week we watched you walk up the court? You're doing the same thing. No, I'm not. Okay, now when we're done, we're going to watch film then because, oh, you're right. Exactly that. So I really appreciate what he's brought back, that he's able to, be that calming voice if I'm head coaching, and then it's like vice versa. He has a calming voice when he's standing up, and sometimes they need to get, some fiery voice while they're on the sideline, and it just works. So we appreciate what you bring. And he's also a person that will go out and help transport the kids, contact the parents, and what's going on. Worry about their personal life. Same thing with Coach Randall. We worry about what's going on. We don't see a player. And I think that really separates us, but I really appreciate him. And I wanted to talk that from an outside looking in, and this is why he's here.
All right. I appreciate that. Coach Joel, do you have any words that you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be here. And I mean, I think we've got a really good group of coaches between me, Randall, and Mo, and we all are willing to help each other out. Randall even offered this next weekend to sit on the bench and kind of, pump the kids up or talk to them about why they got pulled out or whatever it may be. So I think that's awesome. That's what it's all about. I mean, it's for the kids, making sure that are on and off the floor. But I mean, I'd like to give a shout out to Ronald Rodriguez. I mean, he's the one that kind of connected with me, Coach Mo. I didn't really know about CMA before he started playing with them last summer. I started coming to some of his games, kind of liked what I saw. Met Coach Mo, kind of got in with him, started some practices, and it just kind of went from there. So he really kind of streamlined that process for me, and I'm excited to see him come back this summer too. Yeah, we're watching with Brian this past year, and I know he's really pumped and excited, and he's going to show a lot ahead. So,
all right, Coach Joel, don't be a stranger. We're going to have you back on. We're going to have you back on in the future. Maybe even get Coach Randall up in here and have the whole crew on here. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate your time. Again, our camp's coming up on Monday, but if you missed the Monday camp, we got another one in the chamber that we're playing, and it's going to be different, but the same, if that makes sense. We're going to be adding the same kind of value to it, but it's going to have a little bit different twist on it. We're still mapping that out. But you can find the link for our current camp in the show notes, and then I'll try to keep the links updated as this episode ages online, and try to keep the links for our camps pretty much the same. But come on out. If you hear this before then, go ahead and register. You got to register before you come out. You can't just show up to this. But we're going to be doing a lot of great things there. I'll be there with the camera trying to capture everything. But thank you for tuning in. You can hit us on social media. If you're seeing this on YouTube, the like, share, subscribe thing. Liking the page actually helps us out a lot on YouTube.
Yeah. It's what following, man. We have Basketball Academy as a year-round thing. You'll see that on the page. We have Speed Agility. Shout out to Activate, the great Krista and everybody there. We do the Speed Agility, which will be adding some more days, Brian. We'll be adding some more days to that. You'll get to learn a lot about that if you come out to the camps, but this is stuff we do year-round. And man, I get my feelings a little bit. I see people like 20,000 followers and stuff like that too on Instagram, and all they're doing is like doing a slip and slide and doing a backflip and doing something weird. And like, you got 20,000 followers, man. I'm trying to help people out. Like every now and then, I think we're doing something good. So, like Brian said, if you like it and follow, you'll be connected, and we'll answer a lot of your questions just going to those links.
All right, yeah, I heard about it that ago. Before, get you started. Now,
and shout out also, shout out to all of our high school boys that are going to districts. Going to district this week. This is, I think a lot of them, their last games, their last regular seasons here in the Nebraska area tonight or tomorrow. And so next week it counts. So you have some shout out to them. Shout out to all of our freshmen that are going out and doing stuff. And just a special, we had a player, Jaden Spears, last night suffered a severely broken leg at a game. And so we're just, prayers out to him. I've been talking to mom since it happened. And he had a successful surgery this morning. He's back at home. He's been with us a long time. And he plays at Bellevue East with my son, Ami, Chris and Trey and Mikey and all those boys in that freshman class. It's really strong. And so shout out to them. Prayers to them. Speedy recovery. The CMACC family. And we're going to do whatever we can. If it's food, if it's bringing something, if mom needs a fundraiser, we'll take care of getting that kid back on his feet. He's a kid that we just appreciate. He's obviously upset. First thing he told me was, he's upset about not being able to do AAU. I mean, that's the heart of a baller right there, man. Nothing to apologize for. The fact that you're not, you got up. When you were ready to go, you couldn't move, but you fought through what happened last night. it's crazy. I practically been still there screaming. I mean, it's, still there screaming. So, just shout out to him and shout out to all those players.
Yep. Jay, you part of the team, bro. Regardless, where we travel and what we do, you're always part of the team.
You coming with us to Minnesota, man.
Yeah.
You coming out. If you got
So-
Willie in the wheelchair, you're going to go to Mall of America, man. We already talked about it.
So you're in our thoughts and prayers, man. Get well soon. We'll be reaching out to your mom and stuff and kind of figuring out what we need. But you know how CMA mobilizes for the players that need it. So that's what we got, y'all. Again, like, share, and subscribe no matter what social media your platform you're on. Follow us on YouTube. I'm working on trying to grow the YouTube. I need y'all to follow it, and I need you to like the videos because that tells the YouTube algorithm what to do with the video and how to recommend it. Man, we need y'all to do that so we can keep spreading the message. Coach Joel, thank you for coming out. Coach Moe, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Peace.